Hey, so this is Hope Grant, Sketch Frame Studio on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. You're seeing me quickly put together the perspective lines based on the poster you gave me so we can do one building from start to finish, and finish being the line work. It's supposed to be an apartment complex type design because we didn't really have a direction with those buildings initially as far as what you gave me, and this is just a sample of what I'm capable of. That being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about my process, what you can expect from someone like me if you're hiring me, and how payment system tends to work on projects like this. So, I do background work on television shows, and I've done some just general animation work in other parts of the industry. For the most part, my work focuses on creating concepts that can be used as fitting backgrounds, posters, or development for the early stages of animation. Um, when I'm designing something, I usually have a sort of rough guideline that I'm given. Here I have the rough direction that you were aiming for things. Not knowing what the context of these buildings are and knowing you were kind of aiming for a more Futurama style, I decided to aim for more detail, and we can always discuss exactly what these buildings are later, and always redesign this if necessary. With that being said, what you're seeing is me creating the rough start to finish concept, with the lines being the very last thing you'll probably see here for this evening on this one particular building, which has a bit of a mixture of art styles, a sort of steampunk modern-esque apartment complex. As you go through the process work of creating a design, a lot of things end up changing along the way. So things that might appear early in these stages might also not appear at the final version, because this is what I am developing on my own. When we're developing things, only the things that you want to see will stay in that project. As far as the timeline of events for how I think this project would work for us working together on it, I would say it would start with us focusing on these buildings. That'll take us 2 or 3 days, maybe four, to start from the rough sketch phase all the way to the coloring phase. Once we get those done, we can discuss whether I am redesigning those characters of yours to fit into a particular show, or if I am making them just look professional in the style they're in. Because every show has a different art style, and I want to make sure what you are doing fits what you're envisioning. That being said, typically with buildings, at the very least, we start with a rough mood board or a series of images online that kind of go for the direction you're wanting, and we mesh them together in a new concept. I'm sure you've seen mood boards before, but I'll show you some over email if you want. After that, I create a bunch of rough sketches to see how they would match both in the scene and on their own. Then we talk color palettes. We'll have to start from what color the background is to the color of the buildings themselves. If we're going for Futurama, we'll probably want a more chrome style, but I'm going to let you lead on that so we can figure it out. As far as payment and how I work for that, I use Ko-fi, which accepts PayPal, MasterCard, and a number of other international payment platforms without charging a fee. I find this service works a lot better than just having people pay the international fee that is required for paying people on PayPal directly. All the funds for that go straight into a project I'm currently working on, and that's mostly why I do commissions. So I have a pool of money to use for my upcoming projects. That being said, the other thing to expect from this project is if you do end up liking the working relationship, and how these final things work together, then we can discuss whether or not you want a version of this in a higher definition for print purposes. I think we had agreed that it would be, but I'm not sure. But generally speaking, I think this project will take 1.5 to 3 weeks max if we're both responsive and on time. I do have full-time work, so there are a specific number of hours I'll be unavailable to talk to, but other than that, I usually try to give people 2 to 3 updates a day for projects of this size. Um, what you're seeing now is the beginning of the finalization stage, where I'm starting to put together kind of what the buildings will look like in my perception for the line work before I go back and do the finalized cleaning it up. Typically, if people end up liking my work, I suggest that they follow my Instagram more than following my YouTube or my Twitter. My Twitter is still developing, but my Instagram is where I post the most. So you're welcome to follow me on there if you wish, even if you don't hire me. I accept 50% upfront payment and 50% after. I usually prefer that people pay me before I start, but because I understand that there are a lot of scammers, especially NFT scammers right now, I am allowing people to kind of have this quick video demo reel for the first time that they're hiring me. That being said, if you enjoy what you're seeing with this artwork, I'd be more than happy to continue to chat with you or send you to other clients that I have worked with before to discuss things with them more. But generally speaking, this is a one-time speed paint kind of thing. If you end up hiring me for more jobs, you've already seen the expectation of my work, and I don't do like stuff like this after that. I do hope that you kind of are getting an idea of what my skill level is through this, because we're getting very close to the end of the video now. I have sped this up, so you're seeing a lot of jerking around on the footage, and that is because I did not make any cuts to this. I just sped up my footage. So it's a little disorienting, and I apologize in advance for that. I'll just let the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes of this play out. You can kind of enjoy the process work. Like I said, this isn't what the final concept would look like. This is just an idea of what my skill level is for developing things. That being said, the last 30 seconds of this video will show you the finalized line work and kind of what that comes together to look like. The best way to contact me is through my email, so if you have trouble contacting me, just shoot me an email. I usually respond within a couple of hours. I think this video is a little over 10 minutes. I'm not sure. I haven't really been paying too much attention to it, but it can't be more than I would think maybe 14. So apologies in advance for that. You're seeing me kind of get an estimate on where the coloring for the lighting would go if I end up doing that. In this one, I don't. It's just kind of for me to figure things out for long term. And now I go ahead and I delete that because it's no longer required for what I'm working on. That might have taken a second. There we go. Finalizing where I want the lines. This was done on an 11 by 17 canvas at 900 DPI, which would be approximately how big I would make it to make sure I get finer details before transferring it to an 8.5 by 11 for printing purposes. And now I'm just saving the finalized image. And there you go. That's kind of a look at how I work. If you have any more questions, feel free to shoot me a message.